Okay, now into here, we're going to be watching the things we missed in Gameoverse. Now, Gameoverse, I really do love this show. Like, I actually really enjoy it. I think I told my friend to watch it because I really enjoy this. Like, I enjoy this as I enjoy the main circus, and that's why I'm happy that they release something I'm actually going to probably enjoy going forward, like I do for the main circus. Because like I do like love shows. I watched Knights of Guinevere and the zombie show, which I for Gaslight District. I'm not like the biggest in contact with it. Maybe the next episode will get me more hooked, but like the pilot didn't really do much for me. So there's that. It's a cool show and cool concept. This show, the first pilot has hooked me, so I'm really happy for that. I will say before this, I did notice a detail that the map, whatever, the paper guy, I think he did the same thing he did to Flappers, to Kit's World, show up and tell her how to defeat the final boss, with all the instructions, just because they were putting their hands on paper, etc. And it looked like there was one instruction was to defeat the boss in it, and that's probably how Kit won, and her world was destroyed. So that's probably why he knew some stuff about Kit, etc. Most likely. I don't know if that's going to be mentioned here or not.
Glitch Productions has finally released the pilot episode to its brand new series Gameoverse, and oh my god, is it amazing. There's something so interesting about the groundwork that was set in this pilot episode.
I can't wait to see Dus's voice and also more stuff. Like I said, I really enjoy this
story, the characters, and the world building. And honestly, I don't think people realize how much potential
I will say the kitty person you can't say is here, kitty. I feel like she might be more annoying. Like, I remember her in the beginning, but I feel like she's gonna be way more annoying going forward. And also two people who basically helped Flapper defeat the villain and whatever. Those people are basically the Team Rocket of the squad. Let's be honest.
Series actually has, and how amazing this first episode actually was. There was a lot of information jam-packed in the 30 minutes of content that we got, and I think it's only just to not only go over it, but also try to theorize about what's going to happen next, because this episode gave us as many questions as it did answers. And so, without further ado, this is everything that you missed about Gameoverse. The episode opens up with the backstory of our main character, Kit, as she goes through her world and tries to defeat the main villain. What's so interesting about this scene is that later in the episode, we get introduced to a character named Fold that actually tells heroes how to defeat their villains. And in this very...
so they are going through it, and I'm assuming, Fold has to be pretty high ranked, or, I don't know what game he would be a villain of, but, whatever.
First scene, we see that Kit actually has the paper that tells her how to defeat her main villain, which eventually causes her world to be destroyed. And this small detail not only sets up what happens later in the episode, where Fold ends up seeing Kit and understands that she is incredibly powerful because he actually helped her defeat the villain of her own world, but it also sets up what happens at the end of the episode. And this is the brilliance of Gameoverse: show, don't tell. There's a lot of small details in this episode that many people may gloss over, but they actually have narrative weight, which is so cool. There's a lot of times that you don't have to tell us flat out who characters are, like for example, Kit's family and friends that we get to see in the intro scene. We don't need full backstories for all of them just yet. All we need to know...
let's be honest here, we do know obviously they're important. There's, Kit's friends, Kit's family, etc. And I'm assuming we will get flashbacks of Kit interacting with them, I would assume. Or maybe they go to a world that simulates their world, or she's been put in a dream where she sees all her family and friends. It will probably be like a dream sequence for her, but we probably will get to know more about them. Maybe not too in depth, just to the point of why they mattered so much to Kit, etc.
is that they're close to her, and that when she loses them, it's going to have a significant impact on her. And after a fantastic fight scene to start off the episode, that's exactly what happens. Because when Kit and Caboodle end up beating their main villain, the world ends up falling apart.
Got destroyed in literally 2 minutes.
Once the game is over, there's no reason for the world to exist, meaning that the hero that defeated the villain is responsible for the destruction of said world. And it is that responsibility that ends up weighing on the minds of our heroes. And later in the episode, we're going to see how much of an impact it truly had on the main characters. But moving on, because before Kit's world is completely destroyed, somebody ends up saving Kit and taking her off-world. And yes, although he does look like Sephiroth, this character's name is Dusk. From what we're able to gather from the pilot, Dusk is the founder of Farcade, which is a group that tries to stop the hero from beating the villain, therefore saving the planet. The main characters, Kit, Caboodle, and Gobbles, all work for Farcade, going planet to planet and try to save them. On the flip side, Syntax is our evil villain.
Love that. There's another video I want to do that goes over their backstory, but I haven't managed to watch there. I will say, I do like the villains, I like the heroes equally, which is kind of rare. Normally, I either like the villains or heroes and despise the other. So it's rare to get a great balance. This guy's pretty good. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he's voiced by the same person who voiced Piccolo, Vegeta or something. I don't know. I saw someone mention that. So this guy's pretty cool, right? He also kills snappers, which was honestly, I'm not surprised that's how it's turned them, but yeah, I do like the whole thing, the paper thing transforming into the thing to obviously tell them how to defeat the boss, etc. I do wonder if eventually we will get to meet someone that we haven't met in the pilot that is probably maybe the maker of the Gameoverse, like just to defeat this final boss of the Gameoverse, to like get all the worlds back or something like that. That who made the Gameoverse? What should be Dusk? But who made the Gameoverse? Why is it considered the Gameoverse? Why is the hero, why is the hero winning, destroy the world? I know because it means game over, because you basically win in general. But why? You know what I mean?
To help the heroes of each respective planet beat their game, therefore destroying their world. The leader of their group is a mosh-posh of multiple different villain parts named Warwick, supported by his two main henchmen, Misinformation and Fold. From what we're able to gather from this,
her name is actually Misinformation. Oh, I thought it was a joke.
Scene, the destruction of the planet ends up creating a substance named Float. What the substance is actually going to be used for, they go over it at the end of the episode, and I have a theory connected to it, so I'm gonna wait a little bit later, but trust me, we will be going over it. What I really like about the two groups, Syntax and Farcade, is that both of them have the respective heroes and villains from each world. And it's kind of funny that the hero ends up helping the villain, and the villains end up helping the hero. What's very interesting about this is that
I'm not gonna lie, when I saw everything you missed in Gameoverse, I was kind of thinking they were gonna go over some more details. They probably will, but like, it's
nice to get heroes that were unable to save their worlds because they technically had a hand in destroying it. The heroes feel solely responsible for the destruction of their planet because they're heroes, where the villains get to revel in the power that they end up having because they're villains. Obviously,
not
though,
all villains, because obviously Snapper didn't do it, and other villains, I'm assuming other villains probably didn't, because like there's villains, then there's like rivalry villains that obviously still have a good heart, etc., but they're obviously evil. Like Bowser and a lot of like, for example, even like the old like show and the movie, etc., he does still have a heart, so Bowser probably won't join this, maybe. It really depends on which Bowser you get.
Two groups end up meeting and attack each other, and I really love this scene because it just shows how amazing the video game references are in this pilot. Caboodle having to do an entire minigame in order to get the shields up, and Fold using an arcade-like shooter in order to take down the Farcade ship. It's brilliant and it's baked into the world, and I'm not going to point out every single amazing video game reference because we would be sitting here all night if I did.
That's insane, right?
It's done organically. They're not just bringing it up and shoving it in your face. It's just something that happens because the entire world is based on games. But during this interaction, our main characters end up getting shot down and crash into the planet below, where Caboodle is separated from Kit and Gobbles. And when they crash land, not only do we get to see the bit of animation that is going to be circulating the internet for the next 5 years, but we also get some great character interaction between our two main characters. First off, I thought it was absolutely genius that the backstory of Gobbles was actually given to us.
Yeah, I was gonna say this, like, I didn't watch the trailers because I had no idea what Gameoverse was about and stuff. and I would have no idea that Gobble's backstory was in this whole little trailer sequence.
Teaser trailer for the series. This is a character that just saw his world get destroyed.
I'm pretty sure the pilot takes probably not straight after, but a decent bit after. That's at the very least.
Children's video game, and now he needs to navigate a brand new world and brand new problems. But not only that, because he comes from a child's game, Kit kind of looks down on him. Not in the same way that Caboodle looked down on him, but Kit obviously sees Gobbles as somebody who needed to be saved. Which makes a lot of sense because Kit is the hero of her world. She was the person who was saving everyone. But then again, we also have to remember that Gobbles is a main character of his respective world, and he has the same mentality as Kit. Learning to accept help from those around you, even though you are the main character, is a skill that many of these heroes are going to have to learn. And throughout this episode, you get to see the development of not only the relationship between Kit and Gobbles, but also the development of Gobbles' character. He's somebody who came from a game about learning, and because of that, he's able to understand what's happening around him and adapt more quickly than other people would. During the scene, we also get to see Syntax, and this is the scene that I was talking about earlier, where Fold ends up recognizing Kit. Again, in a very short amount of time, they are able to establish the relationship between two characters without even having a word said between them. Moving on, though, in this scene, we're also introduced to Flappers, who is the main hero of this world.
I want to see more Flappers.
Hero because his name is in the title. And I'm gonna need you guys to remember this title screen because I have a feeling it's going to be important for future episodes, especially that third option on the bottom. But moving on, Flappers ends up taking Kit and Gobbles to the...
Basically, couldn't you maybe go to the title screen and click new game or something before they defeat the villain?
Switching to
Vodafone
it says new game.
Can you click new game or something before they defeat the villain and then restart?
In town because they're trying to find the hero. At this point, Gobbles has already realized that Flappers is the main hero, but Kit is too preoccupied because everything here reminds her of the world that she lost. Again, we see that Kit is reliving her trauma, unable to let go of what happened in the past, and still feels responsible for everything that happened. It's also pretty interesting how similar the worlds actually are, and I wonder if that's actually going to be a plot point for future episodes. In fact, that repetition could be a main reason why these worlds end up getting destroyed once the story is over. Because after one is finished, another one that's basically the same pops up in its place. And if this same stuff continues to happen over and over again, that might be why Syntax is able to help out the main characters so easily. We know the robots do reconnaissance, but they don't actually beat them, and they can't beat them because only the hero can do that. So, how do they know that it's a foolproof plan? Well, because they've gone through it a ton of times before. And that repetition is what they're going for, because Flapper's journey actually mirrors Kit's journey. It's probably why Kit didn't think that Flappers could be a main character, because when Kit thinks of a hero, she thinks of herself. But then, of course, when Kit finds out that Flappers is the hero, she says something that she absolutely shouldn't have. Because when Flappers comes back, Kit tries to convince him to give up on saving his world and give up on being the hero.
Realistically, if someone just came to me and said, "I'll give up on saving your world," and they can't tell me why, I wouldn't believe them either. I would be like, "What are you trying to?" I would do what Flappers doing and run away. That's monster. And then later on, if I see him next to the villain, Risky makes almost that if he completes the game, the entire world will end. But of course,
it's not
super annoying about it. It makes sense because you're not going to be able to tell him because obviously the game will pause and stuff. You're not going to be able to tell him and anything else. Why would he believe you?
Able to tell a character this while they are in their own world. Because as soon as you do, not only does the entire game pause itself, but it also tries to then correct the mistake of taking out the characters that are not supposed to be there. An absolutely necessary plot point to add in the pilot episode, because this would be the first thing people would bring up about the series. And the thing is, you could have just given exposition at the beginning of the episode telling the audience why they couldn't do that, but instead, you actually showed
let's be honest, a lot of people be like, why couldn't you just tell the thing? I was thinking you could just tell them. Then it brought this out, I was like, oh yeah, it makes sense why you couldn't tell them anything. Realistically, because we don't know how long until the next episode, people always bring up a whole plot point where, why can't you just tell the main character? There's a high chance they don't believe you, but you can still just tell them.
desperation that Kit has of trying to save different worlds. The scene perfectly encapsulates the desperation of Kit because she knows exactly what's going to happen when she says this. But in the moment, she doesn't care because all she wants to do is save her own world. But that can never happen, and so she's trying to live vicariously through the other heroes. And Gobbles understands this and also realizes that the only thing that Kit wants to do is save people. Once Flappers and Fold end up leaving to go to...
What do you expect? He's obviously going to understand everything.
The main villain Snapper, we get this beautiful scene between Gobbles and Kit, in which we get to see how Gobbles has truly changed since the beginning of the episode. Gobbles becomes a person that can not only lift somebody up, but also put them on the right path. It's a really touching scene, because if anybody can understand what Kit is going through, Gobbles...
I do wonder, like, realistically, we don't know how much episodes there'll be. I don't think they've confirmed how much episodes there'll be if they get a full season funded. My guess would be 9 or 8, simply because Mojo's I think was 8 and Main Saga is 9, so like between that I would assume. And I doubt they're going to do a second season because most glitch shows don't have 2 seasons, so...
I also think it justifies Kit's mentality of trying to save people, because Gobble knows firsthand that if it wasn't for Kit, he probably would have been destroyed on his planet. Instead, though, Kit saves him, and now he has the ability and the chance to save other people. Of course, after this scene, Flappers and Fold end up defeating all of their mini-villains, and Kit and Gobbles end up trying to meet back up with Caboodle. And I didn't really talk about his scenes in the beginning of the episode, but basically he's been spending his entire time trying to train up the main villain, who of course isn't really great at his job, and it almost seems like the world of Flappers is a low difficulty game. And it makes a lot of sense that there would be a range of difficulties between the world, and I would assume that Kit's world is probably one of the higher difficulties, which is why Fold was so shocked when he ended up seeing her.
Makes sense, because the villain seems way more like powerful here. And generally, this obviously is a dolphin game, but I don't think it's going to be that difficult.
That her and Caboodle were split up, he knew that he couldn't beat her because she comes from a world where she would have to defeat a higher caliber of villain. But unfortunately for Caboodle, Snapper is definitely not a high caliber villain. Kit, Gobbles, and Caboodle do eventually meet back up, but unfortunately, Foil, Misinformation, and Flappers were right on their tail.
Domino's Price Slice, a bargain whichever way you slice it.
Hard to interact with the character, like really, because you can't
More than half of us will experience gum problems. Untreated, this can lead to gum disease.
And Flappers, with the help of Syntax, does end up defeating his main villain, which unfortunately results in the destruction of his world. And again, we get a really nice scene between the main heroes, as every single one of them has gone through the same feelings and emotions. Every single one of these characters was trying to help save other people, which is why they can't really blame themselves for what's happening. As we saw earlier in the episode...
if this happened to me, I would still probably blame myself, let's be honest here. Like, if this happened to me, to me, I was responsible for my work being destroyed, I would blame myself. I wouldn't stay with them at last moments because, heck no, if I have a chance to live and get out of here, you better believe I'm taking it.
So it is impossible for a hero to know what will happen once the game is over. Unfortunately, you're not able to know the consequences.
Also, I guess you don't really know if it's a game, right? Like, back here, you don't know, it's a game, so you just think it's basically this guy's tormenting your own life.
Until it happens, which is why once it does, you need to leave and try to stop this happening to other planets. And after another fantastic sequence of animation,
the whole animation, this like whole pilot was sick, by the way. Second of all, I do like the idea that in most episodes we'll probably be getting a new hero character to hero character, or we'll obviously be following hero character in the world, but we'll be getting maybe recruiting a new hero character if they want to come with us. There'll probably be at least one that might want to stay with that world. And then also on the other side, we're going to get new villain character. And I'm assuming in the final episode, we'll probably have a showdown between all the heroes and villains, etc. of each world. We have Flappers, but we don't have Snapper now, so it might be that will be replaced with a different villain, or Flappers will sadly die. Who knows?
Up leaving with the rest of the main characters. And firsthand, we get to see the destruction of the world, in which the entire thing explodes, turning into what we can only assume is float. And that substance is then harvested by Syntax.
So mad,
and what are they using it for? Well, we're actually told by Warwick. that the reason Syntax is destroying these planets is to harvest the energy from them, and then, in doing so, try to change the programming of the Gameoverse. The only way to bring back everything that they've lost is to change the rules of the game. We also get to see that after Syntax destroys a world, they end up trying to recruit the villain that was on that world. And now that first scene from the beginning of the episode makes a lot of sense, because Malice, the main villain from Kit's world, is on the ship and is actively trying to hunt her down. And that, of course, is where the episode ends, but that's not where we stop piecing together all of the information that we got. Syntax is such an interesting villain group, because their main goal is to change the rules of the Gameoverse so that when you complete a game, the planet doesn't explode. But in order to change the coding of the universe, they need to blow up as many planets as possible, which will cause a lot of people to die. The thing is, if they're actually successful with their plan, then technically everybody should be able to be brought back, right? Well, what if it's impossible to bring people back? Well, that's why Farcade is doing what they're trying to do. If you stop people from completing...
I'm assuming there are conditions to this. I think my reaction, there has to be conditions here, I think.
The game, then the planet would never get destroyed, meaning that you wouldn't have to go through everything. You would just keep the game in a perpetual state of being unfinished, and everybody would be able to get on with their own lives. From what I'm able to gather about the Gameoverse from the pilot, it is in a perpetual state of destruction and creation. But even though that's the rules of the Gameoverse, it doesn't really make any sense, because when you're looking at the title screen, you can see that there are 3 different options. One of them is a new game, one of them is to continue the game, and the other one is the options function. What does the options function actually do, considering that it's a real world? I don't know. But I have a feeling that that options function is going to be important later on, because if you're able to change how the game actually runs, maybe you could also change how the coding is and hack the game from the menu. The other thing that's really important about this menu is that
there has to be at least one episode where the characters interact with said menu, right?
Is an option for a new game, but if the world is destroyed, then the game can never be replayed. And honestly, isn't the function of every game to have a new playthrough to go through it again? Wouldn't that make the most sense? Well, if we're looking at the menu, the answer should be yes, and I have a feeling that we're going to see what happened to the game.
So something has to be going on here for like the game to completely be over after the hero wins, etc. Like something definitely is happening here. I could definitely see the villain team up the heroes at the end of the day, because maybe the villains aren't totally evil per se, and they do actually want their world to be back. And they find out who actually made this, and someone actually already programmed it. And I can see the villains actually teaming up the hero at the end of the day to do it. Who knows?
First, to make every single game not only incredibly repetitive, but also get destroyed after one playthrough.
Also, speedrunners would have a tough time, let's be honest here. If like there's a speedrunner doing this, like the world's gonna be destroyed in like 2 minutes. It'll be Kit's world.
Now, all we can do is ponder on the pilot episode, and what a pilot episode it was. The animation was fantastic, the world building was amazing, the story is engaging, and the characters are awesome. I love the fast pacing because we were able to get so much information in such a short amount of time, while also still being engaged with the story. And not only that, we were given a bit of mystery, a bit of lore about the world, and also a cliffhanger for the next episode. Honestly, who could ask for more?
I don't know if that's for the next episode, or if it's for like a later on episode. I can see the next episode being having nothing to do with Zindus or whatever it's called.
I'm asking for more, and I really hope that this show gets greenlit because I think it is absolutely amazing. But I'm curious to see what you guys think about it down below in the comments. So let me know what you thought about this, and thank you guys so much for watching my video. If you liked it, leave a comment, like, and subscribe. It really does help out a ton. So of course, until next time, Tanuki crew, peace.
I'm gonna lie, when I saw everything you missed, I thought it was gonna be going over details of, I guess, like, they maybe have like Easter eggs and stuff, but there probably will be a video that goes break down everything, which like maybe I'll watch. I don't know. But anyway, it was nice to get a little review and also an opinion and theory, etc. I wouldn't have thought to like think anything off the new option button, let's be honest there. Like new options wouldn't have enticed me. I can definitely see why new options, like maybe that would lead to something. New game, like why couldn't you just start a new game when, let's say, Snappers defeat all the bosses, start a new game and then it restarts? Right? Like, it's an easier way to buy time, right? Just have someone there, call the radio them to start a new game if you're about to fail. That could be like a shout, right? Am I like stupid? That could be a shout. either way, the main characters I'm happy to see are Gobble and Flappers. I want to see more Flappers because he looked mad. I want to see how he's doing after the pilot. Sadly, I really want to know if this thing gets greenlit, and if it does, I want to know how long it will take for an episode to come out. There is a video I want to do every character's like stuff or whatever, which I want to do is my Cartoon Universe. I will hopefully do that video soon, like pretty soon probably. Sorry, without further ado, see you guys next time. Tell me guys, do you guys think Gameoverse is good? I personally think it's the next show after the Main of the Sagas for Glitch. That's just my personal thought. Like Gaslight District and Natural Guinevere have nothing on this, in my opinion, of course. Maybe it's because it's been a year since Gaslight and that 7 months since Night of Guinevere, which I haven't watched by the way. But a year since Gaslight District, I'm really excited for this.